So now I should be ideally audible to you, and my screen should also be visible to you. So you can just
Yes.
type yes or no in the chat, or you can even speak if you want. Okay, cool. So, we'll be starting with problems A, B, and so on. We'll be going till C. And then I wasn't able to do the D1 and D2 problems myself. I mean, I was basically guessing on D1. It somehow worked. So I wouldn't be explaining, the whole guesswork part. So we have basically Yogesh with us, and maybe Yogesh can tell us how he was able to solve the D1 and D2 problems. Okay. So let's begin with problem A, and I hope my OneNote is visible to you as well.
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. So basically, the thing here is, in the first problem, in the problem A, you have two types of coins: coin one and coin two. Coin one has a value of one, and coin two has a value of two. So if I decide that I want C1 coins of this category and C2 coins of this category, my overall sum of money would be C1 plus 2 times C2. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So basically, in the question, what they've given you is, you've been given an integer n. You have to represent it in the form of C1 plus 2 times C2. And while doing this, you have to maintain a condition. The condition should be that the value of this should be minimum. The difference between the C1 and C2 should be minimum, right? So can somebody tell me, if n is a multiple of 3, let's say, what would be the answer in that case? If n is of the form 3k, what would be the answer in that case?
N by 3.
N by 3. I mean, you have to choose these values, okay? So basically, you can choose C1 to be k, and for C2, if you choose it to be k, then you have plus 2k. So this is same. This is equal, right? Now the thing here is, if you just take the difference between C1 and C2, this will be 0, right? Is this clear?
Yep.
Cool. Now let's say n is of the form 3k plus 1. What would you do in this case if n is of this form? You can just simply add a 1 here, and you would get the same result, right? And now the difference between C1 and C2 would be 1. And similarly, if your overall value is 3k plus 2, in that case, you can add a 1 to this side. You can add a 1 to this side, and your overall sum will again be 3k plus 2. So let me just write the equations. You have just a minute. You have k plus 2k equals to 3k. In this case, your answer is 0. You have k plus 1 plus 2k equals to 3k plus 1. In this case, your answer is 1. And you have k plus 2 times k plus 1. This is equal to 3k plus 2. And in this case, again, your answer is 1. So basically, if your answer is not 0, and I can just say that my next answer would be 1, then I can be sure that my answer is correct, right? Because I just have to find out the minimum value. And the minimum number greater than 0 is 1, right? So basically, what you can do is you can just find out, C1 and C2 like this. C1 will be basically n by 3, and C2 again will be n by 3. But now if you take n modulo 3, if this comes out to be 1, you can add a 1 to C1. If this comes out to be 2, you can add a 1 to C2. Right? So is this clear? Is this whole question clear? Right. So somebody can let me know if it was clear or not, if they have any doubt in this problem. Okay. So this problem is clear. Fine. Let's move to B1. Right. So in this problem, what they've given you is, you've been given a string S, and S can be any random string. Let's say the string is this: A, C, B, D. And now let's we can see that the length of the string is 5. Now they've also given you an integer k. Okay, have they given us k here? Okay, that was for B2. They haven't given
Yeah.
us anything apart from this. They have only given us a string S.
We, we,
And now
we
what they
need to
want is,
find K, right? We need to
um
find K.
okay, what is k here? Yeah, we need to find k. Right. We need to find k. And what is this k? So basically, you have to color these characters. So basically, let's say I choose A and I color it 1. You only have two types of colors, 0 and 1. In the question, it was given red and green. Let's keep them 0 and 1. So basically, you have this A, right? And let's say you color it with 1. So the other A that is remaining, you can only color it with 0. Okay. And you cannot color more A's. So basically, the thing is that if you have, let's say, 5 A's, you can only color 2 of them. And while coloring 2 of them, one of them has to be 0. One of them has to be, 1. Okay. And apart from that, you need to form pairs. So let's say you decide one character and you color it with 0. So it is necessary that you pick up another character and you color it with 1. So the condition that you want here is that the number of zeros should be equal to the number of ones. And another condition here is that if there are, let's say, 5 A's, you can only color 2 of them. You cannot color 3 of them. And you can also color one of them, leaving the other one, but that would just be a waste here. Okay, so like I'm not explaining the question in much detail because I'm assuming that you've already given the contest. So I'll just quickly dive into the solution here. And yeah, so what you can do is you can just keep the frequency of every character. Let's say A is coming 3 times, B is coming 1 time, C is coming 2 times, D is coming, let's say, 5 times. So what you can do here is you can just look at this A and you can extract 2 characters from this and color them 0 and 1. So you have one such pairing, right? Now for B, you cannot pair them. You cannot pair a B with another B because there is only one B. For C, you can pair 2 C's and you have 0 and 1. Similarly for D here, you have 5 D's, but you can only choose 2 of them. So you can color them 0 and 1. Now let's say there was another character E which also had a frequency of 1. So now you can pair B and E. Right. So it is basically like going greedy, totally greedy. You just pick up the characters. You consider the frequencies. If the frequency is greater than or equal to 2, you include 1 in your answer. If the frequency is less than or equal to 1, if the frequency is 1, let's not consider the case of 0. If the frequency is 1, what you need to do is you need to just maintain a variable, let's say x. You keep adding 1 to it. Whenever you find a character that has a frequency of 1, you just keep adding 1 to x. Okay, let me just admit people here. Yeah. So what you can do at the end is, if you have a certain answer, and what this answer would be storing, it would be storing the number of characters that have, the number of letters that have a frequency of greater than or equal to 2, right? And your x variable would be storing the number of letters that are unpaired. So if you have x letters, you can just pair them by using x by 2 pairs. So your overall answer will be answer plus x by 2. And I can show you my code for this quickly. Right. So here I have maintained a frequency array, and I am just increasing the frequency by 1 whenever I'm finding a particular letter. And then I'm iterating over all these letters. If the frequency is 1, I am maintaining a variable called extra. I am adding 1 to it. If the frequency is greater than or equal to 2, I am just adding 1 to my overall answer. And at the end, I'm just printing answer plus extra by 2. Okay, so is there any doubt in this problem? Okay, then assuming there is no doubt, also just to clarify, am I audible right now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're done with 2 problems. Okay, we're done with A, we're done with B1. Let's move to B2. क्वेश्चन रीड नहीं कर रहा था यार मैं समझा रहा था. चलो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. अब ठीक है ना. Now I am audible. Now my screen is visible as well. So we were on B2. Okay. So do I need to explain this question, like what exactly is the question? Or is the question clear to all of you?
Question was clear.
Cool. So I'll just quickly get into the solution. So essentially in the question, they don't want us to color 2 elements with the same color, right? So we cannot color 2 10s with 1. we can color one of the 10s with 1, the other 10 with a 2. Okay, so let's say I give you that in the question, let's say it is given that 10 is occurring k plus 2 times. Can you tell me how many colorings can I form from this?
K is 2.
K times.
K times. Okay. Yeah, basically not k times, we can just form one coloring. So we can just choose k tens out of these. Like if I'm saying that, two tens cannot be colored in the same color, this essentially means that I can only choose k tens here and I can color them with 1, 2, 3, so on up till k. If I decide to include even just one more 10 here, it would be colored in with the same color out of these only. Right? So I can only choose k tens if I am given, more than k tens. So this is first observation. So for every element, you can maintain its frequency. So let's say 10 is occurring. Let's just say k is equal to 5 right now. Okay, 10 is occurring, let's say 7 times. 9 is occurring 4 times. 8 is occurring 3 times, and 2 is occurring, let's say 5 times, and 1 is occurring 4 times again. So now can you tell me how many 10s can I choose from here? First of all, if k is equal to 5. I can choose 5 10s, right?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5.
So I have chosen 5, and the other remaining 10s that we have, they just go to waste, right? We don't really care about them now. Similarly for 4, can you tell me how many colorings can I have? I can have no coloring
4.
because it is not equal to 5, so I cannot just club all the 9s together. So that just means I have 4 extra 9s, right? I have 4 extra.
No, you
Similarly
can
for
color 4.
yeah, we can color them 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, but this does but we have to include another number that will be colored with 5, right? We cannot just leave it like that. We don't have right now any other number that we can color with 5. Like you will tell me that we can color one of the 8s with a 5, and then we would have a complete segment. But right now I'm not concerned about it. Right now I haven't seen whether I have these 8s or not. I'm just looking at the number of 9s that I have. So clearly I can just color 4 of them, but still I need the 5th one to actually complete the whole segment. I don't have 5 colors right now. Now what happens is, now I get 3 8s. So clearly, can you tell me how many extra elements do I have? I have 7 extra elements. Now what I can do is I can just pair up 5. I mean, I can just complete a segment of 5 from them. So I have 7 elements, and what are these numbers? I have 9 9 9 9 and 8 8 8. So I can just choose in any way. Like I can choose like this and pick up these, or I can choose these, or I can choose these. This is completely my choice, but I can only make one of them. I can only make one choice here. So let's say I decide I want to pick up like this. So now can you tell me how many extras are available after completing this whole segment?
2.
Right, 2 extras are available. Now we get to 2. So now clearly what we can do here is we can just include all of these 2s, or we can just complete a segment from them, like 2 2 2 2 2. So this is a whole segment, right? We can just skip this and add 1 to our answer. Still our number of extras is 2 only. And after we get to 1, the frequency of 1 is 4, and the number of extras that we have are 2. So clearly the extras that you were having were 8 8. So we can just club these ones together now, and we can include another pairing here. So this is nothing but just simple brute force. I mean, it is greedy, obviously, but after deciding how will you actually simulate the whole thing, it is totally brute force. So is this question clear? I can show you my code for this. Okay, great. So basically, I've done the exact same thing that I was doing in B1. I have maintained this frequency array. This is just telling me how many times each element is occurring, and this occurrence array is telling me that for this particular number, it is occurring on so many places. Like I'm storing all the indices of that particular element wherever it is occurring. Okay, so yeah. Now if the frequency of any element is greater than k, then I can just color first k of these elements and I can leave the rest of them. And if it is not greater than equal to k, I can just push it inside one of the vectors. I have maintained a vector here which tells me how many extras that I have, and I can just push this index into that vector. And after I have pushed all these indices, at the end I can just complete these segments of length k again and again till I can form. Right? Is this clear to all of you?
Hello.
Yeah.
Priyansh, can you see my code and see what might be the problem in the code?
Okay, just a minute. Can you tell me your username?
Yeah, wait, I'm sending you the link.
Okay, yeah, you can send it in the chat here.
Can you tell more about how are you storing the K? I mean, how do you keep track of all of the colors?
I am not keeping track of any of the colors. I am maintaining an answer vector here. Whenever I am coloring a particular element with a particular color, I am just storing it in my answer vector. So like what exactly do you mean by keeping track of colors here?
Yeah, I mean this matrix OCC.
Okay, so this OCC matrix is basically telling me that, if I talk about 10, 9, 8, anything, it is just telling me at which all places 10 is occurring. So let's say 10 is occurring on the 0th index, the 1st index, the 9th index, the 11th index. It is just storing that. Okay, and this frequency array is just storing how many times one element is occurring. So frequency here is basically the size of occurrence, matrix for that particular element.
Okay, one is the counter and the other one is the actual indexes.
Oh, right, exactly.
Okay, got you.
Okay, so you want me to tell you what exactly is the problem with this code?
Actually, I know the problem that I have not distributed the colors in the right way. This is the problem. So what will be the solution for that?
Not all colors have equal number of elements. So I'm not sure if you've correctly understood the problem, because essentially whenever you are forming a whole segment, there have to you have to have k colors. If you don't have k colors, you cannot form a segment. So maybe you are just forming extra segments that are not able to cover k elements completely.
Actually, the distribution of color is not done by me properly. You can
this
see there are
I think is an implementation issue. You'll have to figure it out on yourself. I mean, it would take up a lot of time if I start going into your code completely.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So A is done, B1 is done, B2 is done. Let's move to C1. I mean, sorry, C problem. There is no subtasks here. Right. So there is like, as this question says, interesting story. So I have an interesting story for this problem. Like, when I was reading this problem, I totally understood it in a wrong way, and I was thinking about a completely different problem. So first of all, I'll tell you what exactly is the problem here. So they've given you some words here, and each of these words can contain letters from A to E, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, and now you need to choose a subsequence of these words. So let's say these are the words, and I decide to choose this one, and this one. Now, after choosing this subsequence, the following condition should be true. So let's say the character that is occurring maximum number of times, I mean, in this whole subsequence that you've chosen, if you just club up all these words together and find the occurrence of every character. So let's say A is occurring 5 times, B is occurring 4 times, C is occurring 2 times, C is occurring 2 times, D is occurring 1 time, and E is also occurring 1 time. So here, my condition is valid because the character that is occurring maximum number of times, it is greater than, sorry. I am again explaining the problem that I actually understood during the contest. The problem was actually different. So let's say B1 is occurring, B is occurring 1 times. C is occurring 1 time, and D is also occurring 1 time, E is occurring 0 times. So clearly, if you look at A is occurring 5 times. And if you look at all the other characters, how many times are they occurring in total? Like A is occurring 5 times, B, C, and D in total
3.
are occurring for 3 times, right? So this is the condition that you need to maintain. The character that is occurring maximum number of times, it should be greater than the sum of all the other characters. Okay. So this is actually the problem, but I'll tell you what exactly I was solving and how exactly is it, so difficult to solve. So what I was solving was, let's say the occurrence of A is 5, B is 4, C is 3, D is 2, and E is, let's say, 5. So the problem that I was solving was, if you consider the character that is occurring maximum number of times, and if you consider the character that is occurring second maximum number of times, these two should not be same. This is what I was supposing in the question. Like they were telling us that, the character that is occurring maximum number of times, it should be greater than all the other characters' frequency, right? So I was assuming that if I choose A as my character that is occurring maximum number of times, the other characters should not occur so many times. Like E can only occur 4 times. Similarly, D can also occur only 4 times. It cannot occur 5 times. So this is the problem that I was actually solving, and I took up like around 1 hour to figure out what needs to be done, and still it was very implementation heavy. But yeah, this was not what was required to be solved in the question. It was very simple. They just want the character that is occurring maximum number of times, its frequency, and the sum of all the other frequencies, that they should be greater than sum of all others, right? So here, this is like a completely greedy solution. What you can do here is you can try out all 5 possibilities. Let's say decide that I want A to be occurring the highest number of times. Okay. So clearly what I can do is, for each of these words, I can, define a sum value. So let's say here, right now I'm assuming that I need to maximize A. Okay. So let's say D is occurring 4 times, E is occurring 5 times, C is occurring 2 times, and B is occurring 1 time. So the overall sum here is 9 plus 11 plus 12. So the sum of all the other characters are 12. Let's say your A is occurring 13 times. So instead of storing 13 and 12, you can just store +1. This means that if I choose this word, I will be at an advantage of +1. Similarly, if this number would have been 14, then if I choose this word, I would be at an advantage of -1. So essentially, after converting this whole array into numbers, you can just sort this, and your whole array would look something like this. Let's say -3, -2, 0, 1, 3, 4. Now you start picking from the very end. And let's say you pick up these, and you keep picking until your sum is greater than 0. Okay. Now, if you just keep picking until your sum is greater than 0, this just means that your A is occurring more number of times than all the other characters. Okay. So the maximum length that you can travel to, that would be your answer in that case. Let's say this is -10. Okay, is this clear? Like, is the whole idea clear? And if you talk about the overall time complexity, it would be 5 times order of n log n. N log n is for sorting and 5 is for trying out all possibilities. So is this clear to all of you?
Yeah, I didn't get the trying. Can you tell more about trying all the possibilities?
Okay. So what I mean by trying out all possibilities here is, you are considering every character here. Like if I decide beforehand that A has to occur maximum number of times, so I will decide my whole code on the basis of that, right? If I decide B has to occur maximum number of times, then my whole code will look like that, right? I mean, it would be changed according to B. Similarly for C, similarly for D, similarly for E. So when I say that I want my character B to occur maximum number of times, at that time I would change my whole list of words into numbers. So let's say the first word has some frequency of A, some frequency of B, some of D, E, and basically C. So here what you need to do is you just maintain the frequency of B. Let's say it is K, and the overall sum apart from this is, let's say, K minus 1. So you just take the difference, which would be 1. So this means that if I choose this word, I would be at an advantage of +1, right? And if let's say there is another word which has this form k plus 2 and k, choosing this word would result in a disadvantage of 2. That means if I choose this, my overall sum would decrease by 2. Okay, like I can show you my code for this. It should make much more sense after that. Let me show you my code. Okay, so what I'm doing here is that, for each of these words that I'm getting n words, I am maintaining how many times each character is occurring. So this is the part where I'm storing how many times each character is occurring in that particular word. And after that, I'm just trying out 5 possibilities. So in the 5 possibilities, I'm checking if, let's say I decide A to have the highest frequency, will I be able to do that? And if I'm able to do that, what are the maximum number of words that I can choose? Okay. So here what I do is, I just maintain this sum variable. And for that particular word, I just iterate on all these characters as frequency. So if I is equal to j, that means I am looking at my current character only. Then I just add it to my answer. I mean, add it to my sum value. Otherwise, I just subtract it. And at the end, I am maintaining a vector here where I'm storing all these values corresponding to these words. And I just, put that value in the vector and I sort that vector. And after that, while my sum is greater than 0, I just keep adding values here. Right? Is this clear to all of you? Okay, great. So do we also have Yogesh with us right now? I think he is here, right?
Yeah, okay, am I audible?
Yeah, I'll just stop my screen share. You can do your screen share in the meantime.
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay. So yeah, Yogesh would be explaining the problems D1 and D2 to you. I wasn't able to solve any of these problems.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys have read the D1 problem, because, just let me summarize the problem. You are given a matrix of size n cross m, and they have given that n into m is even. Okay, that is given in the question. So they are asking that. It is mentioned that you need to find out whether it is possible to place n into m by 2 dominoes, because each domino is of size 1 into 2. So they are asking you to place these many dominoes on the table so that exactly k of them are horizontal. You have to place them such that exactly k of them are horizontal and the rest are vertical. Okay, so this was the question. So how I approached it is that, I took cases. Firstly, I took a case that both n and m are even. Both n and m. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, both n and m are even. Okay, because at least one of them would be even in every case. If we take that, if we suppose that both of them are even, then it becomes really easy, because if both of them are even, then you can divide the whole matrix of n cross m size into squares of 2 cross 2. Okay, because both n and m are divisible by 2. If you are dividing it into 2 cross 2 into a square of size 2 cross 2, then you can obviously fill up this row as well as column, because this length is also divisible by 2 and this length is also divisible by 2. So what I thought about it, first I handled this case, then I went about the other case. So for this case, they have given us the k, and they want that exactly k dominoes should be horizontal. So if I try to put for say I'm trying to put just one domino to be horizontal. Okay, if I want this one to be horizontal, I cannot place the rest of them in any way that which would fill up this whole table. Okay, because what happens is that as I have divided the whole matrix into 2 cross 2 squares, like you can fill this 2 cross 2 either way. You can put 2 horizontal or 2 vertical, right? But like if you have exactly 1 vertical, you have to put all of them I meant if you have exactly 1 as horizontal, you have to put all the rest ones as vertical, but you cannot fill it up, because like just consider this column, okay? Like if you try to fill this column with 1 horizontal and rest dominoes where the rest dominoes are vertical, so like you cannot fill it, because like if I'm putting horizontal ones here, then this length should be of some 2 into k type, right? And this one is a horizontal domino, so this one should be of length 1. So like this comes to be 2 into k plus 1. But as I have supposed that both should be even, so like we cannot have odd number of horizontal dominoes. Like are you guys not able to understand that we cannot have odd number of horizontal dominoes here? Like you can similar like I have shown the case for 1 horizontal domino. You can think about it with multiple odd number of dominoes. Like whenever we have even number of horizontal dominoes, we can just put the next one right below it, and we can cover this 2 into 2 square. Similarly, we can if we have more horizontal dominoes, we can fill another 2 cross 2 square with these horizontal dominoes. So like for each 2 cross 2 square, the decision becomes independent of other squares. That is the idea for the case where both n and m are even. So like, is this clear right now, that what we need to do in case both n and m are even? Is that clear?
Yeah. I think this is pretty clear.
Yeah. Okay, so like now now let us consider the case where m is odd and m is even. Okay, because like both of them cannot be odd, obviously, because n into m is even. So wait, let me see. Yeah, let's take a case where here n is even and m is odd. Okay, m is odd. This one is odd and this one is even. Okay, for this case, like we were able, like for a minute, like just leave this column. Don't consider this column. If you don't have this column, you can fill the rest up only in the case where you have even number of horizontal dominoes, right? Because that's the same case where both n and m are both both n and m were even, right? If we just exclude this one column, this is the same as the previous case. So like if we try to fill this column, if we can fill this column up with vertical dominoes, because like you cannot put a horizontal domino over here because this has width 1, right? I've just taken a single column, so you can just put it with you can just fill it with vertical dominoes, right? So like supposing that you can fill this column up, then for the rest of the table, that case is similar to the previous one where both n and m were even, right? So like how I approached this was simply like I filled this up with vertical dominoes. So like I have to check first that whether I can fill this with vertical dominoes or not. So k was the number of even dominoes, right, that we have to fill the table up with. So the number
Yeah,
of
this was basically the number of horizontal dominoes.
K was the number of horizontal dominoes. So the number of vertical dominoes would be n into m minus k, right? This would be number of vertical dominoes. So like if you cannot fill this up with the vertical dominoes, you cannot fill the rest up, right? Like first we have to fill this single column, only then we can proceed thinking about the rest of the table. Like
Yeah, right. This makes sense. Also, it has to be n into m by 2, right? Like n into m by 2 dominoes are there.
yeah,
So
oh
n
yeah,
into
yeah,
m by 2 minus k.
yeah. N into m minus n into m by 2 minus k. So like this many number of dominoes are vertical. So like if you can't even fill up this column, you cannot go about filling this with horizontal. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, did I make a mistake over here? What was I saying? Okay, these were the, okay, call it V. Like if you don't have enough V to fill this column up, you cannot fill the rest up with horizontal ones, because like if you are not able to fill this up with vertical ones, you are filling this up with horizontal dominoes, so you will fill this part of the matrix with horizontal dominoes, but you won't be able to fill the rest portion of this column if you have only
Right, that
horizontal
makes
dominoes
sense.
left. Yeah. So this was the idea, that first we have to fill up this one column with vertical dominoes, then only we'll proceed about filling the rest of the matrix. So the first check for such case was that this was the number of vertical dominoes. So I checked whether this number can fill up this one column. So how many dominoes would be required to fill up one column? That would be n by 2, because like n is the length of this column, and each domino takes up 2 into 1 space. So I checked whether v is greater than equal to or n by 2 or not. Like if it is smaller than n by 2, then obviously we don't have an answer, and in case it is greater than n by 2, then we eliminate this one column. Like we don't have to think about this column now. We only have to consider this part, which is the same as the previous question. So we convert this into v minus n by 2. We have used this much in filling up this column, so we are left with this many vertical dominoes. So we again check whether this is even or odd. Okay, so like in case it is odd, then again we cannot fill the left matrix up with horizontal dominoes. Yeah, and in case it is even, then we can put it like in case the vertical number is even, then we can fill 2 into 2 square matrices with these vertical ones, and the left one with the other horizontal ones. So that was the
Yeah,
idea.
so basically it just reduces to the same problem again, right? If
Yeah,
after
yeah,
we've just filled up this first column.
yeah.
And similarly, if we have m as odd, then sorry, if we have n was even here, right? If we
Yeah.
have m as even, then we would be just considering k only. We would not be considering n into m by 2 minus k. So
Yeah,
I was basically thinking on the same lines, but my solution was not so much very clear to me. Like when I was thinking about it, I was thinking on the same lines,
okay.
but it was just that it was very intuitive that I sort of coded it up and just submitted it.
Okay, yeah. So like, let me show my code as well, because like the code is really small, so it will become more clear. This was the case for when both n and m were equal. So I just check whether k is odd or not. Like we can use ampersand to check whether it is odd. Like this checks if k is odd. So if it is odd, then the answer is no. If it is even, then the answer is yes. So like I discussed this case where m was equal to 1. So I calculated the left number of dominoes that would be equal to the number of vertical dominoes. Like I've mentioned it here, v equals to n into m by 2 minus k. So that's what I did over here. So I first checked whether it is greater than equal to n by 2 or not, and as well like the left number of, because like n by 2 would be used to fill up this first column. So we would be left with left minus n by 2. So we would check whether it is odd or not. If it is odd, then we have the answer as yes, and otherwise the answer would be no. And in case n was odd and m was even, I just like I didn't want it to consider it in m again based on n and m. So I basically like swapped the cases. That's what I did. Like you can invert the table. So what I did was that like if this side was m, so I flipped this table from here over here. That's why I was able to use the same statement over
Yeah,
here.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, like just if you look at D2, since you've explained how you're actually filling up the matrix, it is very easy to actually fill up the matrix in D2 then.
Yeah, the rest is just based upon implementation, how you implement that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for like explaining this whole thing. I hope it was clear to everybody. Like it was super clear to me, considering I had already spent a lot of time on the problem. So
Yeah, like
I'm not sure if it
if
was
anyone
clear
is
to everybody.
confused, like they can ask.
Okay, so I think it was clear, and also we have very few people remaining here. So yeah, I hope it is clear. Okay, then I think we can end the meeting, and I will be posting the recording on YouTube, so you all can check it out, like in case you missed some of it. Okay, thank you, Yogesh, for like taking up that problem.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, then see you all. Bye bye.